added not insignificant amount of automation to this, just because it seemed like a fun thing to do. So here we go. So I'll start off going into the flow. And it begins with just a single point explaining the first exoplanets were detected in 1992.
And Henry, actually, can I pause you for just a moment?
Sure.
I realize this, and we can restart it whenever you like. But the one thing we did not do with the last session was actually go into multi-user. And since we're all here and could join in a live meeting session, still go through sort of the normal way, but at least just to have it open. If you click on that meeting icon, and then start new meeting, that will basically do the same thing, but now it is a live meeting, and then just join without audio. That way we'll just keep the audio here.
You want me to copy that into the...
You got it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I gotcha.
All right. Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. Okay.
Great. So I see that link there in the chat window. So anyways, if you guys would like to participate in the metaverse rendition as well as the Zoom presentation, we'll have both available here. Go ahead.
Excellent. So we do start with this single point. You can click on it, shows you where it was discovered, when it was discovered. And actually, if you just start the presentation, it will actually move on to the next step, where it just moves into the star field and everything just kind of fades in with all the other points that we found. Planets for.
Okay, that's cool.
Right? Thank you. And then we arrive at another point, and it pops up explaining where we are now. We've confirmed over 5,000 exoplanets in almost 4,000 planetary systems. And then from there, we zoom out to take a look at the planet we're currently on. And each of those points is one of the ground-based telescopes that was used to help find those exoplanets. And if you wait a couple seconds, it'll stack up every exoplanet that location has helped find. So there's quite a few. South America and Hawaii are the big winners for helping us find exoplanets. That Mauna Kea telescope is incredibly important to the scientific community. And then next one. And then this is just the sphere of stars around us, or the exoplanets around us. Some of you have seen this before. This just shows where they are relative in the sky. And I added some buttons. So if you want to know which were found using ground-based, it's just those ones. We also have the space, or that's the ground and space, and that's just your space-based ones. So you can kind of see like the path that the space telescopes made. There's like the belt around the equator, and then this large patch up here is all done by the Kepler telescope. So that was its goal, to just go through that section of sky and find as much as it could. All right. Wow. And then move on, and you get the exploded view, where all of the dots are now relative to the distance, or relative to the distance they actually are away from us. So that's just a more interesting view. We've looked very deep into space. Some of these stars are thousands of light years away. And once again, we have the ground-based and space-based. So you hit ground-based, you can see Kepler has disappeared up there, or space-based, and there's everything. And then we move along, just a graph of all of the planets we have found. And they're all separated by telescope. Some of the telescopes or telescope groups have gotten, or like contributed a little bit. Kepler, as you can see on the left, is the big one there. And thanks to Bill for what you're about to see, because this was his suggestion, to check out exactly how much of a difference it is between Kepler and the rest of them. Kepler very specifically was very helpful. And now using some of the information from our last session, I built this section. The bottom graph is once again all of the ground-based discoveries. So that's all of the ground-based telescopes discoveries we've had from 1994 until 2002. The top is all of the space based discoveries, and they are colored according to the method that we used to find them. Transit timing is one of the big ones. We use that for most of the discoveries. One caveat about this data set: this visual does not include the information from the Kepler telescope, because the Kepler telescope adds up to about a third of all discovered exoplanets, so it just washes out all the other data. Like if you include that data, you just can't see anything. But I also included buttons, so if you just want to look at the ground data, you can click on the telescope and it will appear and disappear.
Nice.
Yeah. And then for the ground telescope, if you click on that button, it actually will move it so that you can have it split out for all of your discovery methods, and you can click on that and see when it was discovered and everything. So that's that. And then if you click on that again, it goes back to our previous slide where everything is available.
Nice.
Wow.
Super cool. Go back to the last slide again.
Yeah, sure.
And so it looks like transit is its peak. Transit's finding was its peak around 2014, 2015, and it's gone down since. Tell me about that. Do you know why?
Transit has to do with the planet actually moving in front of the star. So we've found, especially with ground-based telescopes, it's much easier to use other methods. With the stellar telescopes, we have a much clearer view of the star itself, so we're able to use transit much more with the space-based telescopes than with the ground-based telescopes.
Oh, okay. So it's fallen out of favor on ground-based telescopes because
it
was always, I was always amazing that it worked at all to me. And
as these are organized by the sum or the highest value. So radial velocity is actually a significantly better method to detect them using ground-based telescopes than stellar telescopes.
Exactly what is radial velocity?
That one I don't have on my head immediately. I apologize.
Oh, no problem. I was just curious if you know.
Let's see here. No, off the top of my head, I can't. Yeah.
But even still, this view is, it's just very clear. The fact that I could even ask that question, being a total non-expert neophyte, it shows me that I get it.
Excellent. I appreciate
and some
that.
of these I assume are just really experimental, or like this kinematics and these ones that have just been a few. Interesting. There's one other, I think it was step 4, maybe. There's one other view where it looked like, no, go back. Oh yeah, you're going back.
Oh, I can go back up. Let's see here. That was that one. That one. This one?
Okay, yeah, this one. Okay, so you've got Kepler going with a protrusion looking much deeper into space. Okay.
Yes.
I don't know if you can see where I am. I came over to the side here. I'm waving. That's an interesting telescope there too, that's looking much deeper into space.
Okay. Oh, I can't click on it. Is that ground based? That is one of our ground based. I think do I not have are those dots not clickable?
Oh, maybe they don't have the.
Oh, I apologize. I should have made those clickable.
Oh.
Because I don't know what they are.
No apology necessary. That's,
Yeah.
I think when you look at ground based, they, oh, wait, do they actually, I don't know.
I mean, the amount of ground-based telescopes, like with the there's comparatively there's eight space-based telescopes that have been used to do this. So this is from 8 telescopes, and the ground-based is from a little over 50. So like the like space-based has completely taken over this field. And especially like with the Kepler data, you just look at it and you're like, it's just like the planets are just everywhere. Like anywhere we look. Like I think when we launched Kepler, we're like, oh, we'll find a couple, and it's found thousands.
That's fascinating.
Well,
all right. What other questions do other people have? Don't want to monopolize their time.
I've got one other one, and that is
Sure.
on this protrusion out to the left here. What's the furthest? What's the furthest one out? How many light years does that represent?
I do know that one. The furthest one we have found is around 8,300 light years away.
Wow.
So yeah, it's very far. Like most of them are ludicrously far away. And
what's the minimum distance here where the sphere starts?
The minimum distance, I believe, is 8 light years.
Okay, got it. Got it. So fascinating. I think this is such an interesting data set, but I just want to point out, you did a lot of really interesting things here that are quite advanced. One is adding those buttons, so adding them as 2D buttons and making them active filters. I think it really aided the presentation as you went through to be able to have that toggle and be able to add that sort of insight over top of it. I thought that was really, really strong. And even just how you told the story, just more dynamically, building from like one dot. What is that one dot where we sort of found our first exoplanet and then built up from there? I thought it was just very smooth in terms of how you're moving from animation to animation, and the putting the buttons behind the picture. That's really cool. I never would have thought to do that, but that's really a clever way to show a filter and have a button. So really, just incredible work here and making them interactive, just, really strong. And it's really cool to see how this one flow actually you're just like continuing to develop and build out iteratively. And it's really, really cool. Kudos again. And it's very cool to see even how much further it's gone. And that last classification view, stacking the dots, was really, really good too. Good use of that stacking over time.
Thank you very much.
One thing I would be interested in is also maybe colorizing the dots. For some view, colorizing the dots based on the type of planet, whether it's or almost all of them gas giants, and so that's not very interesting. Or are there plenty of rocky planets in here too?
No, we actually have found some rocky planets. I did not, when I first built downloaded the data set, I did not include that as part of the data that I included. So that would require some more data cleaning.
No worries, just fascinating.
No, it's a good idea. I'll maybe include it later.
Is there a way to put like a legend or not, or some type of graphic to represent what a light year is, or 1,000 light years to give scale?
I don't know. I could work on that.
So just to directly answer, so when you do the points or the additional dimensions offset, like we did here to get that additional dimension, it doesn't include that height dimension as an axis option. So we could figure out how to do that. Alternatively, we could actually just add in sort of a swarm behind it. and use that axis, just a single dimension axis that matches that and shows that dimension. Because one thing I was going to say as well is you could almost think of like showing this in a logarithmic scale too, because it seems like a ton of it is fairly close, or most of the things we've discovered are mostly close by, and then there's fewer further away. That could be interesting too. But yeah, adding that scale measurement, I think, yeah, could definitely be something we both need to figure out internally on our side, so that when you show this visual, we have that axis show up automatically, but at least to help you guys know how to do it manually as well here. But that's a good idea.
Yeah, I like that idea.
And we do have an active request to be able to show additional dimensions with log scales. So that'll be coming.
All right. Well, Henry, thank you for that presentation, and to continue to see this fleshing out. I think a lot of really cool things to unpack there, and the actions was really interesting too. I think that it was really cool to see, and I sort of threw you off because inviting everyone, then everyone was sort of seeing things at different times potentially in the beginning, which is sort of the risk of the actions, and sort of but I think how you did it was nice. And one thing you can do to somewhat circumvent that is if you have a title page on that very first one that doesn't have the action, then you can sort of have everyone like group together, and then everyone moves to the next step together. And that way the actions all kick off. But you would have never known that because I didn't preemptively say we're going to invite everyone in, but really cool. All right. Would anyone else like to present today?
I can present today.
All right. Go ahead, Lisa.
So I did it a little different, but I can do an audible if this is not acceptable for the presentation, is that I went ahead and recorded my story and I can present it. That.
Perfect. Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
You can all see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh. Oh, I think I have the sound off.
Each of these data points represents a sleep score from my Oura Ring, which is a sleep tracking device.
All right. See if this works.
My husband says that if sleep were a career, then I'd be Elon Musk, and I have to agree with him. Each of these data points represents a sleep score from my Oura Ring, which is a sleep tracking device.
So how do I start it? So I recorded this audio, but sometimes it doesn't go right from the beginning. Let's see.
Yeah, I think we've seen this occasionally where the audio is supposed to start right away, and I think we have in the a feature request where there's a button that you physically have to touch to like start the audio, as opposed to it starting right away. It's not there yet, and similar to what Henry was encountering. Oftentimes, having a first title page that sort of doesn't have audio, and then the next step having it, is another way to sort of circumvent it. But that said, for right now, how to get beyond that is just to refresh the page. And once you refresh, as long as you have that the speaker or it's not muted, we'll be able to hear it as well. And one thing to also note is that when you share this out, this is a great example of being able to have a URL that you can literally share to anyone, and they can listen to that whole story. And it's way more seamless. But obviously, when you're presenting like this, a little trickier to do both, to listen to the audio, and I think that's okay here, and you can do it either way. So the idea is having like unclicking that speaker icon will then allow you to just present directly without needing to have the audio in background. Okay.
But I love the fact you did the audio. That's great. And there will the button to start the audio in the first step. The engineer's literally working on it right now. That'll be in the product within a few days.
And
So,
I did find that mute button, so I was prepared. I could go through it. It doesn't work this time.
beautiful. Either way you'd like.
And sorry, it looks like it still did not start right away, unfortunately.
Husband says that if sleep were a career, then I'd be Elon Musk, and I have to agree with him. Nutrition, sleep.
All right, so I've gone through it enough times. So there was a lot of data sets, but I discovered that my sleep device, my Aura Ring, presented with a lot of data. And what I was saying was I've listened to a lot of podcasts on physical health, mental health, nutrition, but sleep is my wheelhouse for sure.
My husband says that.
So let's go back. Each of these data points represents my sleep score from January of 2020 to October. So the range is from anywhere from 50 being my lowest to 78. You can see the different scores on the different days. Now, there's a lot of things that go into a sleep score, such as heart rate variability, your lowest heart rate, the types of sleep, whether it's REM sleep, deep sleep, light sleep, your breaths per minute. And so even though I am a sleep queen, I was very interested to find out that from day to day, it varied. Okay, this is my highest here, we're at 98. But then the very next day I could go down. I did have some filters to show, okay, this is data, so a 94. So you can see throughout the year that the times that I've gotten a 94. So it was really interesting to see it in this view. If I filter down a little bit more, this is the month of July. Like we could expect, my family vacation where we all stayed, 11 of us in a small house, it went down. And then, my weekend away in the woods, it obviously went up. The other things that the data showed was like not only steps, there's so many other things like how restful you are, how sedentary you are. But this, I compared my sleep score and steps per day. So there was a nice chunk in there for, from 82 to 94 is a lot of the score I get. And that correlates to around 10,000 steps per day. And I can also see different things like my heart rate variability, and again, steps.
Wow.
So the other thing that was fun was I got to see where I went this past year. So I visited a few states, and even though I was in Montana only a few nights, you could see that my sleep score really wasn't as high as it was when, I'm most comfortable at home. So the yellow is for where I have my highest sleep score, the orange is lowest, and then, the 3 states that I visited in the meantime were about a median. And it really made me think that, when you have that extra glass of wine, when you're on vacation, when you don't sleep consistently, there are definitely external factors that affect it, and that you can control it. But it was just a fun little experiment to work with the data and the different techniques within Flow.
Wow.
So, yeah. Sorry it didn't go.
Incredible. I love the transitions. I mean, it's. Am I right here that are the same dots visible basically from one step all the way through to the end?
Yeah. So I did have to create 2 different swarms, but it's the same date.
Okay. Got it. But even still, I mean, it's. Oh, that's right. For this one, did you do that creating a hierarchy, or was that a separate? Was that from a hierarchy or grouping, or was that a manual calculation just out of?
That was a filter, so I just filtered for dates.
Got it. Okay. Wow, this is really awesome. I love the flow of one step to another. That you created a bed even of the dots and had your image there. It was very, very creative. Using color to actually show like basically having consistent color throughout, I think was really a really nice take to see the dot transition. And I was just a curiosity on step 3. I'm not sure if you have it, but I'm almost wondering if the day of the week matters, if there's some sort of cyclical pattern to that data where it seems to have peaks and and valleys there. I don't know if that's in there, but just one thought that I had, where on the depth dimension you could add the day of the week, and that's another way to sort of parse it out or potentially see a repeating pattern.
Yeah, for sure. So even in July, we would have swim meets where I would be up at 6 a.m. and you could see each weekend it dipped down.
Interesting.
Being able to know, I think my strengths are telling a story, and my weaknesses are definitely manipulating the data to get what I want it to say. So I basically had to work with what I could present, not necessarily, what I wanted to see, things like that. Because for January, so I had a dry January, and I feel like the first 3 weeks, yes, that's why, my sleep score definitely went up. But if I could show that, that would be another interesting point.
Yeah, no, it's just another sort of something to zoom into almost, or another layer to extract, but really strong, and confirms my own hypothesis that weekends are much harder with children than weekdays oftentimes. So at least that's been my lived experience as well. So very cool.
Yeah.
Other comments or other questions from people?
I almost wonder, like, to show it, like, if you could almost like slice it month by month and put like month on the depth axis, like that, that could also like add more depth to the story. I don't know.
Yeah, I really liked how Henry did that filter button. I had never seen that, but I think, I tried to show, a month by this filter, but if I could go back and forth and, compare different aspects or even categories, so the summer is a more active month or January is more sedentary, you could show that. So I really like if I was able to add the filter buttons.
Definitely. And that's a cue to Jason, where we're very active on legends, and I think that is another area where basically the interactive legends, where when you click on the legend, it actually updates as a filter, will be really powerful without you needing to create lots of buttons manually, but to actually have it sort of be more automated. But agreed. I think that little bit of interaction, really went a long way with Henry's, and is a good idea here too. And I think the mix of like your personal story along with the data is just really strong, because just seeing the data, I'd be like, okay, cool, you slept well sometimes, but when you overlay what actually happened or what things were going on, that's where you really learn, like, oh wow, okay, I see sort of these trends, and like we're learning along with you, and sort of supporting the data, supporting your lived experience. And I think it's just a really cool combination that I had not seen before for sleep scores. Or that's really, really cool.
Yeah, thanks. I tried a couple other data sets, and I was just, like I said, the data wasn't my strength, so I wasn't manipulating it. But as soon as I turned it into something that was personal to me, I was able to manipulate it to make the story. And so then hopefully going from there to something a little bit more relatable to others and not just myself. But
absolutely.
Yeah, Lisa, and this, first of all, it's great. Were there any things in here that were really surprising to you that you didn't expect?
Yeah, I think that it started to not be a great, even though this is a variation, I expected some consistency, and that it was just kind of all over the place. It's like, well, what kind of story is that to tell, and what can I get from every night? It's up and down. And so I think it was just very interesting to actually see a whole year as data points, and then to try and make sense of it, because I figured it would, just be very more consistent.
So I see a pattern here, and tell me if you see this pattern too. It looks to me like your high points very often follow a low point. So you're
Mhm.
tired, you have a bad night, and then the next night sleep very well. Is that what you see in the data or no?
I mean, that's what I see. Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, well, what, yeah, why is that? I'm not quite sure. Is it because I got the notification and the score and I know that I need to get to bed earlier, or is it just a matter? Yeah, but I do see why isn't it not 2 nights in a row consistently?
Or ever.
And again, like there's the ability to add notes. So I would love like dog threw up in the middle of the night, like kid came in my bed, like had 3 glasses of wine, all those different things. It's like, oh gosh,
Right.
that makes sense.
Yeah, in some sense, you could almost and maybe is that what the colors are? Are the colors? What are the color bins again? Is that based on the sleep score, or is that
The colors were just a scheme. They really I didn't do a gradient
Okay.
score.
Yeah, no, all good. I think one thought is something we're actively working on actually is the ability to bin things. So you can almost have a sleep score of like, this is like good sleep or like great, good, medium, or like good, medium, bad, right? And just 3 colors and 3 bins. And then as opposed to seeing so almost too much detail, you could just have the count within each of those. And that might give a more clear picture as opposed to almost too much detail. So anyway, it's just something we're sort of thinking about. But one thing that's so anyways, sort of made me think of that and what could come from that.
Yeah, I think that would help for sure. And could evolve. The other thing was that there was a lot of variables with different scales. And so I was never able to add all of them at once. So like my breaths per hour would range from 12 to 15, but then, so I never figured out how to quite show that. So lots of learning still to do, but.
Yeah. And that's yeah, exactly what you're encountering, where you have different magnitudes or different within the same data set to be able to show it. We can go through techniques. Some of them are called Z-scores. So you take everything within a column and scale it from 0 to 1, basically, so that it's all relative to that column and the point within it. And then that way you can compare and contrast other columns that have different dimensions. So like this one is an integer value versus this one, which is all decimals. Like, how are you going to show those on the same graph? So that's a little more advanced, and we can definitely go into more of that. But yeah, really cool to see what you've been able to build with this data set. And I love the story, and I like the backgrounds. Good use of desert. Yes.
Nighttime desert.
Yes. Well, thanks.
Good job.
All right. Are there any other volunteers to present today? One. Okay. Well, those were 2 really, really impressive visualizations and presentations. I feel like I learned actually quite a lot. I'm really enjoying this. I feel like we're going to do this every week or a derivation of. And while this is the end of this session or these sessions, we will have more presentations next week, as well as if there is more time allotting, then we'll try to cover more training topics. Bill and I need to chat and align on exactly what we're going to describe. But hopefully you're seeing this as a continued relationship. That's, we have brands and people reaching out to us, as well as people that are wanting to champion internally. And that's, we'll continue to try to, build out this ecosystem. But you guys are really doing innovative things, and hope we have been approachable to you to help you get over hurdles. And yeah, we'll follow up with emails on a certification and sort of that process once to those that presented today. So Henry, Lisa, and then Alpha from yesterday. But look forward to seeing other presentations here. Jason or Bill, do you guys have anything else you'd like to add?
No, I was just going to say, this is really a lot of fun. And each of you took quite different approaches and used quite different features. which shows that flow is a tool that is great for exercising your creativity. So congratulations to all three of you, and I'm looking forward to some more fun next week.
Alpha has a question for Henry. Did your data set include the attribute that the 2D button filtered for? You want to go ahead and answer that?
Oh, I did see that. I actually direct messaged him back about that.
Okay.
Since the subset of space-based telescopes was fairly small, so I just used the subsets to create one that was space telescopes and ground telescopes, and that was what I used to split up that data.
In the filter, did you set equal to telescope 1 equal to telescope 2, etc.? There's multiple filters, or did you do some?
No, I created a subset within the data set. So like,
okay, but the data set before it came in.
Yeah, so like in the flow, like I just went to the snapshot. Why am I saying subset? The snapshot. I created a snapshot that was like the space ones, the ground ones, and then Kepler itself, because Kepler.
And that points to something. There's multiple ways to skin the cat, right? So what we're doing is not giving you every tool that you really need as a data scientist, because there's so many good ways to do that. Well, you could build it, you could do that set creation in Excel or R or anything else. You can do it in the AG grid, which is a kind of a convenient way of thinking about these things. We call it the AG grid. It's actually just the grid. And then do it with filters, on each swarm, and there's reasons for doing it each ways, right? With the filters, it's kind of nice because you can get animations between them. But then if it's a complex filter, it's too much of a pain. So the other thing I'd like to mention is, just how much I've learned just looking at both of your flows, Lisa and Henry, today, because some of the things that you're hitting are just core to what we want to fix. I know Lisa joined me for a session on the templates, and as part of templates, we've now expanded the next release to be templates plus legends. So there is a legend feature in the app now, but it's not interactive. And so building out the interactive side of that, you will find a whole bunch of new and interesting interactions to dig deeper into the data. I think you're going to find that pretty interesting. And then also like Michael said, the color schemes. If you're doing legends, you want color schemes. So that's also making it into this release that we're working on right now. I did promise those of you who did the user testing with me, user review on templates, I promised you that you would be able to see a prototype working. And my commitment to that is now next week. I'm supposed to have engineering told me, I pushed on our engineering team to give me a version by Thursday, and I'll play with it for a few days and then come back to you guys and see if it actually works the way I promised. So you'll begin hearing from me again to continue our user testing, and that community thing that's happening around the community, around the user testing, is just really meaningful to me. So thank you so much for that.
That's great.
Thanks. Well, thank you guys all for coming in here. Let's not be strangers. This is by no means the end, but if in some sense sort of the beginning of sort of a smaller cohort of people that are certified and that will continue to grow. So really looking forward to interacting more and more with you guys. And yeah, don't be strangers. We'll be talking more soon.
Hold on. Alpha mentioned the Discord group.
Yes. We have a Discord. Let me send that over. It hasn't been the super active, and we can try other channels if people want to prefer other things. It's been pretty good, and we're always on. So if you want to message us there, please do. Or if anyone else, we'd love to use that. And if you'd like, we could set up just a room for us if you'd like. And let me just make sure to put that link in here. Okay. All right. There we go. So that's in Discord. So yes, feel free to join that, and we can chat more there, and more informally as well. So yeah, thank you for encouraging that.
Excellent.
Thanks, Julian. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.